Well, Mr. Hall, thank you for being with us today. And you've been gracious enough over a decade now to be one of the speakers at our apartment owners educational luncheon and nowadays webinars. And we were just together maybe less than 6 months ago. And as we prepare for our next educational webinar, I'm curious what's changed since that last webinar that's on your mind and that you plan to discuss at our upcoming event.
What's changed is where Congress is right now with their $3.5 trillion stimulus package that they want to put together to help stimulate the U.S. economy. And what's changed is how they're going to pay for that $3.5 trillion stimulus package and what they want to do specifically in the tax code to raise more money from us hardworking taxpayers, and how they want to shore up the deficit with additional taxes. For example, if you make over $400,000, the Congress is proposing to eliminate the capital gains altogether. And fortunately, there are folks on both sides of the aisle that don't agree with that proposed legislation. And it's hopefully by the time we talk about this in detail, we'll have more information of where that target lands as far as their updated legislation and their proposals.
Now, I've heard two things. One, that the government just hired a whole bunch of new IRS agents, and so people should be, beware, because there's going to be a lot more bodies available to look at returns. And also, there's this new thing that they're looking to implement that if you have more than $600 in an account, they can somehow audit your account. Is there any truth to either of these?
So what you're referring to, the $600, what the IRS wants to do is issue a 1099 every year to every taxpayer about how much money was deposited into your checking account, regardless if it's money was transferred from account A to B, et cetera. They want to know everything you do through your bank statement, through your checking account, period. And so regardless if the income's taxable or non-taxable, they want to put the burden on you, the taxpayer, to tell the government why you moved money from one account to another and what it was for, versus having just to claim your taxable income.
That will be a landlord's nightmare, especially when you're just paying for repairs and maintenance. You're receiving, some tenants still pay in cash, some landlords still receive cash for payment. That would just be a nightmare. So as we prepare for the webinar, of course, you discussed what's changed. What has Stephen Hall most concerned? What has you up late at night just laying on your pillow as you think about the current politics, the economy, proposed changes to the tax code, where we see the stock market and everything else? What has you most concerned that you look to enlighten the landlords, look to share your thoughts with them here at our next event?
What keeps me up at night is wondering what's going to happen when these PPP funds dry up with the payroll protection program, and what happens now that September 1st has come and gone and unemployment has dried up. What is going to happen to our economy in a year without all of those government subsidy related programs? Number one. Number two, what's going to happen when in 2021, if some of these bills get passed, what's going to happen to the folks, like the folks we're working with that are landlords that have discretionary cash that can afford to buy buildings? What's going to happen if they're in a higher tax bracket and they have to pay more money to the government? How is that going to slow down our economy? And what's going to happen to our tenants? How are they going to be able to pay the rents that they pay today? That's what keeps me up at night, is how are we going to keep this economy going forward with these proposed bills that are on the floor over in Congress.
Would you agree with the statement that even though real estate's flying high, the stock market has been flying high up until here recently, but really that's not the way it should have been coming out of COVID? And the only reason why we're on this economic high is because of all the government involvement. And had it not been for that, things would be much different. And now that it's going away, to your point, things may be very different in the near future.
Absolutely. This is no different than the analogy I use when you're in a mountainous region. When you have a big blizzard, you have tons of snow on the mountain. But then when spring comes along, all that snow melts and fills up all your lakes and rivers. But then when you don't have a blizzard the next season and those lakes and rivers dry up, what happens when there's a drought? Well, that's the analogy I like to use with money, with the cash flow. What's going to happen to our economy when we do not have another blizzard and we don't have a winter and then we don't have a spring to enjoy that spring water coming down the mountain to fill our streams and our lakes.
That's very good. I like that. I might steal that one. Well, Steve, we look forward to having you at our upcoming event. I know that the landlords greatly appreciate your involvement, greatly appreciate your insight that you share with them. And we look forward to seeing you here soon.
Thank you, Chris. I'm looking forward to it.